Every office break room, every college dormitory, every gas station, every airplane galley, every home kitchen in America. All of them contain one invention that completely transformed how human beings think about food. Walk into any American kitchen today and you will find a box that can cook a potato in 4 minutes, reheat yesterday's coffee in 30 seconds, and defrost a frozen dinner in the time it takes to check your email. Most people use it multiple times every day without thinking about it. But the story of how the microwave oven came to exist is one of pure accident, incredible persistence, and a man who never even graduated grammar school. Now that is a story worth telling. Growing up on the farm, we did not have this. And I can tell you, life was different. To understand what the microwave oven changed, you have to understand what American kitchens looked like in 1945. Picture this. You are a housewife in post-war America. Your husband has returned from the war, and you want to put a hot meal on the table. Every single meal requires hours of preparation. Breakfast means lighting the gas stove, waiting for the oven to heat, cooking bacon in a cast-iron skillet while simultaneously scrambling eggs and toasting bread under the broiler. Lunch means starting from scratch again. Dinner means beginning preparations at 2 in the afternoon for a 6 o'clock meal. Pot roast needed 3 hours in the oven. Even reheating leftovers meant firing up the stovetop and waiting 15 minutes for everything to warm through. There were no shortcuts, no instant anything. If you wanted hot food, you cooked hot food from the beginning, every single time. The average American woman spent 2.5 hours every day just preparing and cleaning up after meals. Think about that for a second. 2.5 hours. Every single day. Millions of women had worked in wartime factories, experiencing industrial efficiency and modern production methods. They had seen what technology could accomplish. But they came home to kitchens that had barely advanced since the 1920s. The disconnect was profound and frustrating. Something had to give. What nobody knew at the time was that the solution would come from the most unlikely source imaginable. A chocolate bar melting in a man's pocket while he worked on military radar equipment. Percy Spencer was the last person anyone would expect to revolutionize American kitchens. Orphaned before his 2nd birthday, he never graduated grammar school. But Spencer had something that formal education cannot teach: insatiable curiosity. He taught himself trigonometry by borrowing textbooks from the local library, then calculus, then chemistry, physics, and metallurgy. All self-taught, all driven by an unquenchable need to understand how things worked. By 1945, this autodidact held 150 patents and had become one of Raytheon's most respected engineers. On a routine day in October 1945, Spencer was testing a military-grade magnetron radar tube. This was cutting-edge technology, developed during the war to detect enemy aircraft. The magnetron produced high-frequency electromagnetic waves, powerful enough to bounce signals off objects miles away. Spencer was walking past the active radar equipment when he reached into his pocket for a snack. The chocolate bar he had brought from home was completely melted. Not softened, not warm, completely liquefied. Now, most people would have cursed their ruined snack and moved on with their day. But Spencer was not most people. Instead of dismissing the incident, he asked the question that changed everything. What if this was not an accident? What if this energy could be harnessed intentionally? The next morning, Spencer brought popcorn kernels to work. He placed them near the magnetron tube and switched on the radar. Within seconds, the kernels exploded into fluffy white popcorn. Spencer had just conducted the first deliberate microwave cooking experiment in human history, and nobody had any idea what they had just started. Spencer immediately understood he had stumbled onto something revolutionary. But transforming a laboratory curiosity into a practical cooking appliance required solving enormous engineering challenges. How do you contain the microwave energy safely? How do you control the cooking process? How do you build something people would actually want in their kitchens? Spencer and his team worked for 2 years perfecting the design. In 1947, Raytheon introduced the first commercial microwave oven. They called it the Radar Range, Picture the least kitchen-friendly appliance you can imagine. This machine stood nearly 6 feet tall. It weighed 750 pounds. It cost $5,000, equivalent to $60,000 today. It required water cooling and special electrical installation. It was not a kitchen appliance. It was an industrial cooking system. Raytheon marketed the Radarange exclusively to restaurants, cruise ships, and military installations. Places with commercial kitchens, trained operators, and budgets large enough to justify the massive expense. The first restaurant to install a Radarange was a high-end establishment in Boston. The chef was skeptical until he watched a frozen steak cook evenly in minutes instead of hours. Airlines quickly became early adopters. United Airlines installed Radaranges on their flights, revolutionizing airline food service. For the first time in aviation history, passengers could have genuinely hot meals at 30,000 feet without the massive galleys and complex heating systems previous technology required. By 1952, airlines across America were serving microwave-heated meals, proving the technology could work reliably even in the most challenging environments. Here is where it gets really interesting. The microwave oven did not gradually improve and become smaller. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source: a competitor. In 1965, Raytheon acquired a small appliance company called Amana. The engineers at Amana saw the potential that Raytheon had missed. What if you could make a microwave oven that fit on a kitchen counter? In 1967, Amana introduced the first countertop microwave oven. It cost $495, still equivalent to about $4,000 today, but suddenly microwave technology was accessible to home kitchens for the first time. They sold 10,000 units in the first year. But the real revolution was just beginning. Competition drove prices down dramatically. By 1985, you could buy a microwave oven for under $100. In 7 years, from 1978 to 1985, microwave ownership in American households jumped from 8% to 25%. And this is where the chain reactions really started. The frozen food industry exploded. Companies like Stouffer's, Swanson, and Lean Cuisine did not just adapt their existing products for microwave cooking. They created entirely new categories of food designed specifically for microwave ovens. Between 1970 and 1985, the frozen food industry grew by 300%, creating billions of dollars in new markets and thousands of new jobs. Fast food restaurants discovered microwaves could solve their biggest operational challenge. McDonald's began using microwave ovens to keep food warm and reheat breakfast items during slow periods. This eliminated waste, improved consistency, and allowed smaller restaurants to offer the same menu variety as larger locations. But the most profound change was social. When you have been around long enough, you start to see how everything connects. Sociologists identified the microwave as a key technology enabling dual-career households. Families with microwaves spent 50% less time on meal preparation. This directly contributed to increased women's workforce participation throughout the 1980s and 90s. The microwave oven did not just change how Americans cooked. It changed how American families lived, worked, and structured their daily lives. By 2020, over 90% of American households owned a microwave oven. Think about that penetration rate. It exceeds dishwashers, garbage disposals, even coffee makers. Only the refrigerator is more ubiquitous in American kitchens. Americans use their microwaves an average of 2.8 times per day. That is more than 1,000 times per year per household. The microwave fundamentally altered not just cooking, but the entire relationship between Americans and food preparation. College students learned to cook using microwave-first techniques rather than traditional stovetop methods. An entire generation grew up thinking 30 seconds was a long time to wait for hot food. But here's the detail that makes this story unforgettable. Percy Spencer, the man who accidentally invented the microwave oven, died in 1970. He never owned a home microwave oven himself. Spencer lived to see his invention begin transforming American kitchens, but he maintained traditional cooking methods in his own home. He told colleagues he was amazed that something so simple could change so much. That is the thing about great inventions. They solve one problem and create an entirely new world. Spencer wanted to heat food faster. He ended up restructuring American family life, creating billion-dollar industries, and changing fundamental assumptions about the relationship between time and nourishment. Food scientists now argue that widespread microwave adoption contributed to declining cooking skills and nutritional quality in American diets. Home cooking time dropped from 2.5 hours daily in 1965 to 30 minutes by 2010. The technology that was supposed to give us more time may have cost us something essential about how humans connect with food and with each other. But that debate continues. What cannot be debated is the profound impact of one curious engineer who asked a simple question about a melted chocolate bar. From Percy Spencer's accident grew an invention that now sits in nearly every American home, quietly revolutionizing meal after meal, day after day. I still remember the first time I saw one of these in action. The wonder never quite goes away. If stories like this fascinate you, subscribe and join me every week as we uncover more inventions that changed everything. And tell me in the comments, what invention should I cover next? Remember, this video is for educational purposes only. Always do your own research.